Hey all, here at OS Reviews. Today we're taking a hands-on review of a interesting smart backpack that has a LED display controlled using Wi-Fi. So you can think of it as an LED bulletin board built onto the backpack, but you can also customize it with different images and messages depending on your mood. Now I do want to also point out that this is the cheapest LED smart Wi-Fi backpack on the market. There's a backpack that Unbox Therapy featured on his channel a few months back called the Pix, and it has a very similar design as well as feature set. However, it sells for over $220, and that's the early bird special on Indiegogo. So the retail price will probably be around $300, which is an insane price in my opinion to pay for a backpack, which is super expensive. And then considering this thing at only about $70, it's a fraction of the price. So even though it's already a novelty product, considering the other competitors, the price actually isn't bad. Now for power, it requires you to have your own power bank supplied. So you can use any standard power bank. It has a USB port that draws power for the display that you plug it into. And here's just some other details. It has a wear-resistant design. It's a textured backpack, and then this is where your power bank would go into. And on the back, this is what it looks like, pretty typical. On the smaller side as far as backpacks go, but it will fit a 15-inch laptop without too many problems. Now by default you can see how the display here isn't actually inserted, and that's because to protect it during transportation they actually put it into a separate cardboard box for you to then take it out and slide it in yourself. And then also to download the companion app, there is QR codes that you can scan on this paper. Here's the display itself. It's actually wrapped up. We have again the USB port which draws power, and again there's no power bank included, so you do need to supply your own. We have a kind of printed PCB board which has the kind of microcontrollers and processors on it. And then flipping it around, we have all the tiny LEDs which are embedded onto it. Microscopic, but again, the denser it is, the higher the PPI or the resolution of the display. It still is kind of a retro looking panel as you saw from the advertisements. And here's a zoomed in view of the individual LEDs as you can see here. A slight jump cut, so I've inserted the LED lights and I plugged the USB port into a power bank, and you can see it automatically jumps to life. I've already set up a few preset images here, and you can tell that it's working quite well. It just transitions into the next image or kind of text that you have set using the application. Right now the brightness setting is about 50%, so you can control the brightness level as well, and the LEDs you can see here are taking up the front surface of the backpack pretty well. You can again input any characters and any languages that you would want. You can draw, you can doodle, and you can even have GIFs and animated images pushed over, which we'll show you in a moment. So here we have the lights turned on, but if we dim the lights, it becomes a bit more dramatic looking. Right now we have a hello world message. You can change even how the letters and words will float up onto the display, so either from the bottom up, or if you want them to slowly drop down like snow from the top. So the companion app is called LED Space, and the first thing that you need to do is actually connect to the backpack's Wi-Fi. I can tap on the diamond button here to go into additional settings, such as clearing all of the programs which are currently saved on the backpack's LED display. So there is a memory that is a little bit limited. It can remember, I think, 1 or 2 large files like GIFs, but if you're only inputting text that you write or draw, it can actually record over 10 or 15 of them. So if you have more transitions or images, you have to make sure that the file size is small, but you can clear the device's memory by tapping on this icon here. So if we do that, by confirming to clear memory, you can see that right now it's cleared. It only has one, which is by default, that says amusing LED. You can also change the brightness of the LED. So again, at 15% right now, I can make it all the way down to maybe just 2, and you can see it gets a lot dimmer over here, or I can turn it all the way up to 15, and you'll definitely be able to see it even outdoors when there's plenty of light in the background. So it gets really bright, and because it is using LEDs, it still is relatively energy efficient. It doesn't drain power too quickly. With a power bank that has 5,000 or 10,000 milliamp hours, it will run it for about 8 to 10 hours. Alright, so on the bottom here is our program list. These are all the animations that I've drawn or created that I can push over now to the backpack. So for example, if I tap on this one over here, the tap on edit, you can see that what it looks like is just this moving animation of colors with a few dots on it, but I can change the characters as well. So you can choose from a few different types of font sizes, and I can also change the animation style. And the background here, which is that fancy color, can also be changed. It's a background GIF, GIF. There are quite a few that you can pick from, so if I want to change it to a different style, I can do that. This one in piano keys. And there's also a difference between stretching and paved, and what stretching means is giving you the full complete image. Paved is dividing it into many small sectors which are sliced, as you can see there. So you can create some different effects, and you can either make it into a GIF that is appearing behind the text, or you can also make it an image which is static and doesn't actually move. Now just send it over to the backpack. It's connected using Wi-Fi. You can see it takes a few seconds, and afterwards you can see here it's pushed over. Otherwise, if we tap on the plus key for the program, we can create a brand new file, scrawl, which is just a doodle feature. So you have this canvas where you can just draw on. You can change the color, for example, maybe white, and I can say maybe again OS reviews again, and draw a little something. And I can also, when I'm satisfied, tap on confirm. That will again push it over, and it's also pretty fast. Once the animations are finished playing, it's going to go over to the third image right now. So it will always loop back and forth between them. Right now you can see that's OS review. Now, something I do want to point out here is that the pixel size here is technically 64 by 64. So if you're sending over an image, make sure that it's optimized to be in kind of a square shape. And it would also be good if you have a smaller file size, similar to just 64 by 64 pixels, because that's all the screen is capable of doing. So under material is all of the preset GIFs that the backpack has already given you. So there's quite a few of kind of strange avatars and characters, of various animations that you can take a look at. Some of them are pretty cool, but also take up quite a bit of storage space. So for example, if I like this current animation and I want to send it over and tap on send, you'll see that it needs to process for a little bit, and then the process of sending it using Wi-Fi is also a lot slower than on just a text file. But with a little bit of patience, you can see that now it's fully working, and you can have that longer animation there, and it still has a few of the previous images on board. And if you happen to have only maybe one GIF, it will always just keep on repeating and could create a pretty cool effect. It's a butterfly that's fluttering outwards. So like I said at the beginning of this video, this is definitely a novelty product. It's not a bag that everyone will like. It's also not a feature that you'll always want to keep on. It will of course draw attention, which can be a good thing or a bad thing. You can also use a static image like a name or a logo if you just want to change the look of the bag, and it's a very effective way of doing so. And of course it remains also quite interesting to look at, especially in darker situations where it really just comes to life. As far as the other elements of the backpack is concerned, it's also quite well built. It's very rigid as far as the front surface is concerned, so it can withstand some pressure and weight quite well. What it doesn't have, however, is a dedicated water bottle compartment on the side, which is something I would have liked to see. So in terms of drinks and bottles, you do have to just tuck it away inside of the main compartment. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on review of this LED display Wi-Fi backpack. Definitely a very cool concept, and it is extremely customizable. So if you are someone who always wants to change up the look of your backpack, this is a good way to add those animated and virtual kind of logos, GIFs, and colors depending on whatever you're feeling and your mood is. It's also a good way to advertise yourself, again, if you're going to a convention show like CES or another trade event. So you can check out more details in the links down below again, but for now that's been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. That's been the LED display Wi-Fi